So I think I'll just introduce myself a bit. Divyanshu already gave a very good introduction, but I'm currently working as a group product manager at Flipkart. I lead games and gamification products for Flipkart. Before this, I have led growth team at MX Player. MX Player is one of the, I think, biggest OTT platforms in India. I was working there last year for around 10, 12 months. And I was leading the growth team there. Before that, I was working as director of product at upgrad.com. Now, Upgrad is a online course for professionals, and it offers courses in product management, data science, and all these fields. And if you ask me, that is where it all started for me, which is seeing the impact of education beyond like what I've seen in my own life, right? That people actually want some sort of career guidance, some sort of kind of counseling to move forward in their career, especially in fields like product management, because it's a very recent field in India, right? If you see, like in US, people have been doing product management for last 20, 25 years. Like the uh, computer science internet boom started in 1990s, right? And it has been 30 years from then. For us, it started in 2010, 2011 when Flipkart and these companies started becoming big. So it's a new field. It's a pretty complicated field, if you ask me, right? Product management is a very cross-functional role, very generic role. Some of you who might have been in these interviews will know that no two interviews are same, right? Every interview is trying to judge the candidates per their scale. And these things will definitely go away. The standardization will kick in hopefully in next few years. But for now, I think we are left with premature field where we have to prepare the best and just hope that we get selected in these companies, right? So before further ado, let me start, right? So I think I've already talked about the first point, which is it's a very generalist role and no size fits all is true about it as well, right? Uh, so no kind of advice that you get on these online forums, blogs, videos will actually fit you, including mine, right? So I'll put that caution in front that take all advice but question everything, right? There's too much of bad advice floating around this role. So just question why people are telling you this, whether it's true or not. Try to verify it from multiple sources and all, right? And that will help you as a product manager, because when you become a product manager, right, you won't have data for all the answers. As an analyst, you have data to get to answers. As a PM, you don't have all the data to make an answer or give a good answer. So in that case, you'll have to go through different sources and try to verify what is a fact versus what is an opinion, right? So start doing that right now, and it will come very handy as you progress in this career. And the last, but not the least, that we are a very endorphin-driven, I think, generation. Mobile is at our fingertips. We can just open any app, any video. And that is a blessing, if you ask me, because there is a lot of information at your fingertips. But that is also a boon, because we are always seeking instant gratification. And we are trying, and when you are trying to move into a new field, right, just like when you wanted to move into engineering or medical or any other profession, it takes a certain amount of energy to do so. So you have to start taking the steps today and believe that in a couple of years you will be there, right? So it's a journey of 1,000 miles, which will start with a simple step, and we have to be patient in this journey to get to it. Now, I think I will start with this question, right? I don't know how many of you have seen Money Heist. Those of you who haven't, like I'll give a brief context. Money Heist is around, like the name suggests, it's a heist arranged by a guy named Professor. This is Professor, as you can figure out from the looks of the two characters. Professor is the mastermind behind the heist. And then there is Berlin, right? Berlin is, later we come to know, is Professor's brother, but Berlin is the on-ground executive, the person who is in the bank organizing the heist, right? Or executing the heist, as you can see. So I think the question is, and this is for those who have seen it and are much more familiar with it, but others can also partake in this question, is who is the product manager among these two characters, right? Is it Berling, the first one, or the professor, the second one? If you are able to answer this question by the end of this session, and that has been one of the prime motive for me, because answering this simple question, believe me, will take you a lot closer to a PM career, because then you will know which character does what and what are you expected as a PM to do, right? So it's a very kind of good tactic to kind of retain the knowledge that you have gained in this session. And at the end of the session, we'll have a poll kind of to check who is a PM, right? Either Berlin or professor. So this is a question number one. Vikas, do we have the poll options open?
Let me release it.
Yeah. So the good thing is what we can do is we can cater this session more to your needs. I don't want to kind of tell you about people with a different background. I don't want to give a funda which is not related to you, right? So this is the first question. Very quickly, if you go within the chat, and there is a poll, which is what domain are you currently working in? Is it like tech, product, design, data, marketing, business, or other? If you provide this poll, what a couple of things that it helps with is to know what kind of audience am I speaking to, and kind of try to keep my slides or the knowledge around that domain only, right? I would mark myself as product. And I think, Vikas, should we see the results?
Yep.
Yes. So I think I don't know how to share this. I'll just speak it out. We have 20% from tech, 23% from product, design 2%, data 10%, marketing 10%, business 21%, and the other is just 13%. So this is a very good group, I would say. I think by being in these domains like data, marketing, tech, and business, I think you're already closer to this role. Product folks, obviously, like there are a few things for you in here as well. So let's move forward. So does background matter, right? This is, I think, the first question that you ask whenever somebody tells you that PMs have a good salary, right? Or like PM is a good role, great challenging role, but definitely salary is one of the parameters, and challenge is another one of them. Does background matter? Like what is the background you're coming from? Tech, sales, marketing, business. This is yes, right? It's much easier for people from tech, business / marketing. And what I mean by business / marketing is people from consulting background, people who are leading a business vertical or category managers sort of roles, right? People who are digital marketing manager or brand managers in bigger companies, right? Design is like designing a product, right? Either it's a digital product or a hardware product, it does not matter. And data is data analyst, product analyst, and business analyst, right? So if you are already in these categories, right, you already have one skill at least that can come very handy as a PM, right? Is a lot better if you have one of the, because that builds credibility to the interviewer and to the people in your team. And you can also get your hands dirty and help the team in achieving few times, right? So it's easier for people from these backgrounds to get into this role. Now, the second most important question, which is very scary for a lot of business folks, people who have done MBAs, people who have done engineering, but they didn't do computer science, right? Is a tech background necessary, right? And I for one is a living proof that it's not. So I did my graduation. Good thing is I had a consulting background and I had a data background. So I can see that that actually helped a lot, right, in convincing people that I can become a good product manager. So the tech background is not a necessity, but the understanding of tech is a necessity. And I think I will cover how we can build the understanding of tech and all, right? And besides that, I think a basic understanding of business, design, and data is also important, right? And we will kind of cover how to build on that also. But at the same time, I want to say that don't over-index on tech. I think the first apprehension that I want to take out, and one of the things that you have to take away from this webinar is you don't have to have a tech background. You don't have to have a very or data understanding that you should have. So I think if you benchmark yourself, how good you are in business, even without doing a B school course, or how good you are in data without doing a formal data course, right? You can benchmark and say that, okay, even in tech, if I spend 6 months, just like I did in data, I can get there, right? Or in business, because I learned through these case studies in these books, I can learn the same thing about tech also, right? So just level the field when you're talking about kind of skills and say that tech understanding is necessary, but business, design, data are also necessary, right? How should I prepare for it, right? So the next question is, now we know that around 80-90% of the audience, or maybe 100% of the audience, is eligible for this role, right? So the eligibility criteria is done. The next question is, then how should I prepare for it? Vikas, did we have a poll ready for here in terms of number of years?
Yes, we have people.
Okay, let's do that.
The
So folks, go.
work experience one, right?
Yes, yes. Go within your chat again. This is the second, and this is the second last one. I think the last one is towards the end. So we are not going to do it at every slide. Don't worry. But yeah, this is the last question I want to hear from you. What is your work experience? No experience, 0 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, and 10+ years. And we will take 30 seconds. 8% no experience. Wow, good to see you, freshers. You are the future of the country. 0 to 2 years, 25%. 3 to 5 years, 42%. Wow. 6 to 10, 20%. Thank you, folks, for listening to me. I hope I'm useful. And 10+ years is 5%. I'll try to cover something for you as well, right? I think. Thank you for listening to me. This is a very healthy cohort, and I think people who are within 0 to 5 years definitely have a lot of scope going forward. People from 6 to 10 years and 10+ years have a particular skill set or couple of skill sets, and that will help them heavily while moving to this role, right? You can actually tell interviewers about what you are very good at, and then prepare for the rest of it and nail the interview. So yeah. So let's go to how should I prepare for it, right? So let me divide this into two roles, right? One is a beginner roles, which is something like no experience to 5 years of experience, because even beginner roles are like APM or PM roles, right? So the people with 3-4 years of experience also get into beginner roles and all when they are making a switch in terms of industry or in terms of verticals. So deal breaker skills for these beginner roles, and this is applicable to the mature roles also, but there are some other exclusive skills that are required there. So I'll come to that later. So the deal breaker skills for these roles is first the problem solving, right? Uh, so problem solving is actually tested. If you have been through B schools, you would know the case studies, right? So there are different case studies, like something like there are people coming to Flipkart, but they're not kind of buying anything. So what should we do to solve that? That is an example of case study. There could be open problem statements like we have to increase the revenue for Flipkart, or we have to increase the revenue for MX Player. What can you do, right? So what people are trying to see, what we don't understand in this case is we try to go through as many formats as possible for problems. But the key skill that people are looking for, interviewers are looking for, is the problem solving, right? So you should always attack these problems as a problem solving, and always as someone who have the frameworks ready, but you're not relying too much on frameworks to solve these things, right? Think of it like a problem that arises at your home and how you solve it, right? It's an open problem. It's something which you don't have a framework for, but you have learned some behaviors in the real world. You have learned some frameworks. You have learned some best practices, and you are going to use those things in this case also, right? You learn all the frameworks that are required, and I'll mention the books that are required for this. But always approach these problems with an open mind, because you don't know what you'll hit, and that is what will be useful in this role as well as in interviews, right? In fact, one of the key books that I'm reading right now is Range. I think it should be somewhere here. Okay, I can't see it, but I think one of the major things that Range talks about is problem solving. And what researchers have found, this is a book, right? And the title should actually help you, actually make you feel proud how generalists tramp the specialized world. It's one of the, I think, top recommended books in Silicon Valley last year and this year as well, right? What they say is, when it comes to problem solving, getting stuck on a problem is important, because that actually helps you figure out your own ways to solve problems. So it's a bad advice to go through books, go through case studies one by one, try to wrote the framework, and then try to replicate it in interviews, because interviews are very stressful, especially in the PM interviews. So you should go through the book once, go through the frameworks once, but after that, once you have done through, just like you did with maths or physics problems in the childhood, you try to pick a problem and you try to solve it. Try to solve it for an hour, try to solve it for half an hour. And that will actually make you much better in interviews than actually going through a lot of problems, right? So that's the most important skill of product management, which is why I devoted a sizable chunk of time. And I see a lot of people committing this mistake again and again. They will go through the book, they will cram the book, but in the end, I think what Flipkart is facing today, right, the kind of problems were nowhere faced in the history. So there is no benchmark for that. There is no framework for that, right? So that's the first part. The second part is data crunching, right? If you're not familiar with Excel, go and learn it, right? That's the first advice I give everybody and anybody who comes to me. Because without Excel, you are lost. You're lost because of a couple of reasons. One is because obviously Excel makes you a superhero at data, right? Especially crunching data of small sets, which you do as a PM. The second most important thing is Excel helps you organize. And as a product manager, you're supposed to organize things. You are supposed to give a roadmap, give a guideline, give a lot of things, a lot of trackers, a lot of project management, right? And Excel helps you with that. So I think data crunching, learn, but Excel you should also learn. And data crunching skills, people are not going to ask you Excel formulas in interviews, right? So what they do instead is to check your data abilities. They take you through guesstimates. So a guesstimate is a very simple problem, which when you hear for first time, you'll be like, what is this problem, right? So suppose I want to ask how many number of planes are flying right now in India, right? And generally, right, you will approach it through a guesstimate. What you are doing is you are trying to estimating by taking some intelligent guesses. The key is the intelligent guesses. So you go by number of airports in India, you go by number of stripes in India, planes landing in India and all, right? And you say these many people, these many planes might be in the air. Or you can also go by saying that this is the population of India, this is the flying population of India. They fly 1 times a month. And that's why like one plane accommodates these many people, and in a day, these many people will be traveling, in an hour, these many people will be traveling. This is a peak hour. And so this is the number of planes in India. But again, if you go to the first question, right, problem solving, and if somebody asks you today, that how many planes are right now in India flying, right? A good PM candidate will say zero without thinking much, because there is a ban, right? And except for, I think, government planes or some military planes or those, nothing is flying around. So very intelligently as a PM, you can say, okay, if it's about the economy and business class flights, there are zero planes in India. And that's where the interviewer actually starts liking you, because you are thinking on your feet. You are taking the context of the market into your problem solving, and you're trying to solve it, right? So that's the second thing. Again, I will put reference for all of it, so don't worry, don't despair, right? uh, Data crunching is the second thing. The third most important thing is communication, right? So a lot of PM candidates actually messaged me that Deepak, I'm trying to move into this field on LinkedIn, right? And I have this background. How can I move in? And I'm very happy that first of all you considered writing it to me. But at the same time, I would say that next time when you're writing a LinkedIn message, remember this third point, which is communication, right? Which is, can you persuade me, which is Deepak, or any other person you're talking to, with your story to hire you, right? What are the things that you have done, like in terms of problem solving or data crunching or other things that we are going to list, which will actually persuade me when you tell me that I have done this in the past. I was a school head boy or head girl, right? I was a class monitor. I was in college, I organized a fest. In college, I took an initiative. Even as small as something like I went to my professor and told him that this was not acceptable. All of these are, I think, communication and people skills that will come very handy as a PM, right? Because one of the key things that you are supposed to do, communication is a very broad thing, right? And I don't want to say that work on your communication. It means nothing. What I want to say is persuade people. Like if you want to do a project, persuade them. If you want to send a resume and get people to hire you, persuade them to shortlist you, right? Once you start doing, and we do it in our daily life, like you persuade your spouse or your parents to kind of give you money, right? You have been doing it since childhood. Why have you lost those skills in a formal environment like a work, right? Try to build the same skills that you have done throughout your life. Try to pitch in a very captivating manner and all that, right? So this is, I think, in communication, persuade me with your story is something that you should take away. The fourth is the people skills. Can you get things done through others? You can look back in your past, right? You're either an extrovert who has done it, right? Who has been there, done it. You have gotten your fachas or freshers to get things for you. You have gotten them to do things which are unspeakable, and I will not speak, but yeah, you know what I mean, right? I think, can you get these things done by others? If you're an extrovert, yes. Even if you're an introvert, right? Because we don't speak about a lot around, like people who actually face problems with people skills. And I will take a minute to kind of speak to them as well. See, even if you're introvert, you have gotten things to others, right? Like you convinced a teammate by creating a deeper relationship, and that's where introverts excel. They create deeper relationships than extroverts, because they provide a clear signal that I want to talk to you, like, and I like you and all that, right? So you have gotten things done, like in your family or outside your family, with your friends, even if you have lesser number of friends, but those are deeper relationships. So try to play on that, right? Like there are very, like, I think one of the best PMs at Flipkart I know is an introvert, right? And he has brilliant product thinking. He has very insightful thinking, because he speaks less, unlike me. I think whenever he speaks, people listen to him, right? So try to build on your strengths on these four things: problem solving, data crunching, communication, which is persuasion, and people skills. And start building your stories from today on these four elements, right? If you write to me, I think very few people will, because it takes some effort. I will be willing to provide you some feedback on this, right? uh, Mature roles, and this is more for, I think, people with who are already PMs, or people with 6 to 10 years or 10 plus years, right? Because you'd mostly want to move to a, either to a bigger role in a smaller startup, or you'll move to something like a PM role in a bigger company, because there you can find people with 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years of experience doing the product management thing, right? And the skills for these are very, I think, well defined, because these are bigger tech companies. They have a very structured process. So that is something that you can use while preparing for these interviews. And very quickly, I think first is product design. They will test your product design thinking. So can you design a product? For example, one of the best questions I got was, if there were no bottles, right? How do you design a bottle? Very simple, like bottle is something that we see every day, but a very interesting problem. Like if bottle is absent, how will you design a bottle? What kind of bottle will it be? And product design tests you on those things, whether you have the design sensibility that are there. And we see everywhere, right? In India especially, we are suffering because of some poor design choices. Like our systems are not designed to keep sanitation at the forefront, to keep a lot of things in an organized manner. And partly also because obviously, like, we are resource crunched for a longer period of time. But not to deviate from the topic, I think product design is basically having to know what kind of things should go where, right? Uh, More resources on this later. Problem solving, I think I have already explained there. It's the same thing, but on a deeper level, because you have worked in business, let's say, so you are supposed to provide some insights from business as well when you're trying to solve that problem. Or if you have worked in, let's say, operations or data, you're supposed to be very strong on those on those kind of problems while solving it, right? The third is analytics, again covered briefly beforehand, but it will actually beyond guesstimates for mature companies, right? It will be actually a combination of problem solving and data analytics. So for example, one of the questions that I love is problem in Bangalore, right? So if you have to solve the traffic problem in Bangalore, how will you solve it? And you'll need to crunch a lot of companies. The roles are a combination of these skills. So you have to move from one to other to solve the entire problem, right? The fourth is technology. So if you are aspiring for, let's say, Google, especially, right? Google is a pure tech company. They will have a kind of coding round, right? Kind of system design round. And that requires a lot more preparation. But don't despair if you are not in that group, if you're not a coder, because Amazon and Microsoft, they don't rely very heavily on the coding skills. They will talk about general tech info, if you like, whether you possess or not, but they will not rely on coding rounds for you. So not all big companies are going to have a tech round or system design round for you. In like Microsoft or Amazon, these tech rounds will be more focused on what kind of projects you worked on and what kind of technicalities or technical problems that you faced, etc. Right? So that's tech. They also have business PM roles, which means that even if you don't know tech, if you're able to go for a business PM role, you don't need to know a lot of it, right? You definitely have to understand how apps work and all that, right? And the fifth one is strategy. Now this becomes very, very, very important, because it's a combination of all the four things that I mentioned before, which is product design, problem solving, analytics, and tech, along with, and this is the key important point, how aware are you of the current trends? So for example, we are using Zoom, right? And there is COVID-19 happening. It's a very unfortunate era for the entire humanity. But what are your ideas around that? Like, what should we do to tackle this problem? Will remote work actually work, or will it not work, right? What will be the impact on normal, like, e-commerce tech or food tech or delivery tech because of COVID-19 situation? And that is where the strategy comes in. Strategy will be like how much you know, right? Strategy is not around reading business books, which are obsolete. They definitely help with some frameworks, but it's about knowing what is happening in the world and what are the implications of it. And that is one key thing that I see people miss again and again around strategy, because they always start with what are 5 forces or 5 P's of 4 P's of marketing or something, but they always miss that ultimately it's going to come around as a question that should Flipkart enter into games or not? and there's no framework for that. So be aware of what is happening in ecosystem. If you know that WeChat, a competitor of WhatsApp, can launch games, or Lazada in Southeast Asian country can launch games, you can derive some confidence from there that Flipkart should launch games, right? But if you don't know these things, it will be very hard to answer about these, right? So these are the key skills. I think actually they rate you on these 5 things in every interview, and they kind of over-index on one of these things depending on what the interviewer is. Like if interviewer is a techie, they will take his inputs on tech more than like strategy or analytics or anything. And if the interviewer is a product manager, then they will take his inputs on product design and problem solving, right? So these are the things that every company, every big tech company tries to benchmark you on. So fellow PMs and like people who are much more experienced, try to kind of cover all these areas before you try to get into one of these bigger ones. Don't despair. If you prepare for this, I think startups will definitely open for you, because you will be one of the rarest in the ecosystem to actually have these skills. Now, coming to question number 3, right? So you have gone through the, am I eligible? Yes. To what are the key things to prepare for? And to the third thing, which is while you're preparing, this is one thing that I want to point out, because this will become your kryptonite, which is, people who are not familiar with the context, Superman is a very powerful superhero. He does everything in like this, but kryptonite is the weakness of Superman, right? And your kryptonite in these interviews or the initial days of your job is going to be, you mostly have been an excellent individual contributor. Okay. You have been excellent at the code you write, at the marketing campaigns you run, or the business strategies that you employ in the organization. But you might not have been a team player. Like people who have, I'm guessing that people with more than 10 years of experience will have some team leadership credentials, but most of you don't have a team player kind of attitude, because you try to solve problems. You are a overachiever in some sense in the society, and you try to solve problems by yourself. You don't want to rely on help. You don't want to ask for help. And that is something that will stop you from getting into a good PM or a great PM shoes, right? Because what got you here, like so far in life, will not get you to where you want to go. And which is why I think rather than leaving it on an open end, I'll give you a simple framework to question yourself going forward in your organization whenever you are making a decision, right? Because on a day-to-day basis, you are definitely making a decision. The framework is done to be as a PM, and A, I think we go to A for sure, because our I think promotions and everything depends on A, right? Approval is your manager or skip level manager, whoever it is, right? Or your CEO. So we follow D and A. What we don't follow is C and I. C is contributor, which are the people who can. So, for example, as a PM, you want to see if we should do feature A or feature B. Contributors can be the design team, because they understand design. Tech team, because they will evaluate the feasibility of the feature, whether the feature will take 1 month or 2 months or 5 months. And there could also be data analysts, because they will give you data whether it's something like this was launched in past and whether it worked or not, right? So C becomes very important while making the decision. After you have made the decision, there is no point of going and telling C contributors that we have made this decision, because they will be pissed off, right? And as a PM, you don't have an authority over their promotions or anything, so they will not listen to you, right? It's very, very clear. Like, we are driven by power of incentives, and unfortunately, people whom you are working with, they don't have an incentive to actually be very nice to you or be very kind of respectful to you, unless you earn that respect or unless you actually are very nice to them. The way to become that is actually create a team environment by telling them that this is a decision that we have to take together. And because everybody has taken the decision together, at least driver and contributors are on the same page. They can go and convince approver, and then all of them can inform everybody else that we have taken this decision. So DASI is something, start operating today if you are not already. And if you don't, like, it will become your kryptonite in this role. Next is best resources to prepare. Right, this is, I think, a lot of questions around this, and I'm so happy to kind of find this GIF. I'm hoping this is a kind of rendering on your desktops. This is one of my favorite superhero, Iron Man, primarily because he's an engineer and a product manager, product designer. Like, he has everything in his resume. And let me jump into it. So now this is a stand I'm going to take in front of the group, right? Because I believe saying that do everything does not work, right? In my opinion, books are much better than blogs, right? And most of the times. And I'll tell you when they're not and when they are. But just remember, books are better than blogs. Are written with on an hour or 2 hours of investment. Books are written with 10 years of working in an industry, 10 years of expertise and all that, right? So that is a simple reason why books are better. But there is another reason why books are better, because books actually get into details. And when you're going through book, they have to maintain a flow. So they have to cover all the loopholes, because otherwise they'll get bad reviews, right? So a book like Range, right? This guy, he's a sports journalist for 20 years or so. He wrote a book before, he wrote another book. And this is, I think, his second or third book, which got very popular. So he has been writing for 20 years, and now he has written something which is there for you to consume. And it will definitely be better than him writing a journalist column, which you are going to read in 20 minutes and then forget about it. And that is a third key point, which is you don't forget books easily. They are difficult to read, I admit, but you also retain a lot of it. Then going very quickly through the books, I think case in point, you can get PDF or you can get the hard copy. Unfortunately, right now you cannot get the hard copy. So get the PDF for case in point. For case studies and guesstimates, it's the best book I have found on this subject. There might be better books, but this is me. Like, I have found this the best book on this. This is a highly recommended book in all the premier MBA institutes. Like IIM, ISBs, like all my friends have referred to this book. I was fortunate to get a copy of this in my final year because some of the consulting companies come to IIT Kharagpur as well. But case in point is you should have. For non-MBAs, I think this will be your MBA course. So if you are a coder or a marketer without an MBA, I think this is the best thing you can probably download today and start reading, right? Don't try to finish it, like just read it. Like, try to learn the frameworks and everything mentioned in the book. The second one is Don't Make Me Think. It's the funniest, I would say not the funniest, but lightest read I had. Like, it's 200 pages. It takes you 3-4 hours to read, but it gets you in a mindset of how to think about building products. This will be very critical for your design interview. Okay. You'll also be able to dissect different apps once you read this book. And like I said, it's very easy to read. So if you're not a very big like book fan, start with this book. Don't Make Me Think. All right. The third one is Lean Analytics or Web Analytics 2.0. I was confused between these two. I would suggest go for Web Analytics 2.0 if you're a beginner. Go for Lean Analytics if you have been in business for 5 years, 6 years or more. Because Lean Analytics is slightly advanced. Web Analytics is written by Avinash Kaushik. He is, I think, one of my favorite bloggers. And he has beautifully kind of mentioned all the metrics that are relevant for building digital products, right? The fourth one is Crucial Conversations for Communication. This book will help you in maintaining relationships and in persuading others, right? So very important to read. And this can be something that you can just keep for light reading before sleep or anything. You don't need to kind of follow it like a textbook. And fifth one is tech industry newbies. I know a lot of you are, because I got a lot of questions on, do I need to have a tech background? start from here, because tech is like huge. There are millions of people working in tech industry, and everybody is trying to build a new thing. So you cannot be expected to know everything in the tech industry, but you have to start somewhere. And my hope is once you read this book, and what will happen is, so far, whenever you read a tech article, you are always taken aback that I don't know this, right? I don't understand this. Let me figure it out or read it later. But after reading this book, you'll be able to read those articles. Then what will happen is you will start accumulating knowledge, right? And knowledge is very compound, has a very compounding effect. Like it compounds with time. So what you need to do is actually, what I would suggest is, once you cover these 5 books, right? You might not be the best prepared guy in the for the interview, but after that, whatever you read, you'll be able to filter it out from a PM lens, and the knowledge will only compound over time. So my sense is set the foundation, and then you know that sooner or later you are going to achieve what you have set out to achieve, right? Uh, so the final one, cracking the PM interview. This is another book that I still has, and I still kind of go through it sometimes. And the reason is it's more of a handbook. Uh, it helps you kind of quickly revise the things that you forget in marketing or business or tech or product, right? It also has a good list of interviews from kind of product management leaders. Not sure if that will be very beneficial for you, but yeah, give it a try when you have time. So books, yeah, like I said, better than blogs. That said, blogs are useful, right? Uh, the reason blogs are useful is because when it comes to strategy, you're going to rely very heavily on blogs, because books are not updated in months or days. Books are updated in years, like 5 years behind the current industry trends, and which is where blogs come in. So if you have the foundation set, like we discussed in the last slide, you can then jump onto the blogs and try to kind of filter the right blogs from the wrong ones, right? If you want to start now, like to kind of read, I would suggest go for Good Product Manager, Bad Product Manager by Ben Horowitz. We'll share the slides, so you can just click on the link and go there. Go for star method of interview. Star method in itself, like once you start applying this subconsciously, will improve your problem solving skills or product design skills by 50 to 100%. That I'm very confident of. If you are already applying it in some form, because star is not the only method to problem solve or kind of frame a problem in a right way, then I think you might not get that much improvement. But if you're not very structured in your approach, star will actually get you there. What type of PM are you? This is, I think I wrote this back in 2016 when we were building the product management course for upgrad. And what it does is basically, what I did was I realized that there are 4 or 5 major backgrounds from which people come. And depending on those backgrounds, they have some strengths and they have some weaknesses. So you should know that if this is my background, just go through the kind of product manager that you will be or you will become based on your background, and try to play on the strengths, build stories around that, and try to minimize the weaknesses. All right. For example, a coding, a tech product manager, they try to solve the problems themselves. Right. That is the biggest pitfall of a tech. Or a design PM will say that no, but this is the right design decision, and then the design team will be like, okay, you take the decisions, you design it, I will not do it, right? So the kind of PM you are, the kind of strength you will have, and the kind of weaknesses you have is very good thing to watch out for from the beginning. There are other things, right? So like Avinash's blog, 4th one that you see on analytics, there is Silicon Valley Product Group, there is Product School. Why I am not recommending it right now is because Avinash for himself has written, I think, 500, 600,000 blogs. Silicon Valley Product Group has another like 500 blogs. Product School has a lot of resources. Once you get into it, you become a reader rather than a person who is making progress. So you feel a sense of progress because you are reading about product management. But it's the same thing about like reading about swimming. Like reading about swimming will not make you a swimmer. Reading the techniques and figuring out techniques and all and going out there will actually make you a swimmer. So, which is why I am taking a stand of saying, go through the books, build the base, go through these very popular blog posts like Star Method or Good PM, Bad PM, and try to kind of get a sense of other things, but don't try to consume a lot of blogs, right? Because they give you a sense of business, but you're not actually making a lot of progress. And you also don't know what to rely on, because everybody has a different opinion, everybody has a different advice. Some people have taken a stand that you should absolutely know tech to become a PM. Some people have taken a stand that philosophy grads make best PMs, and you'll be very confused. So don't be confused. Start with books, build your base, build your knowledge, and then go to these blog posts so that you can filter out noise from the signal from the noise. Other thing is blogs are very high time consuming, low value add activities. And sorry. I think these books, I think what I'll do is books for, I think, advanced readers, I'll also add to the slide and send it to you when it is there. So all the questions, I'll filter out some questions. I'll add some more slides and send it to you. I can see some questions coming. Courses for beginners. Now again, don't recommend what you don't do yourself, right? And I don't recommend what I haven't done myself. I haven't taken a course, but that again, I was not a very good student in school. I never attended school classes and all. So what I'll do is I'll not recommend something that I haven't tested myself or that hasn't worked for me. But still, like if you feel like a course would be good, what has actually worked for me is places of where I can find mentorship and feedback. So take courses where these two are present, like there is mentorship, there is feedback, and where you actually get some sort of certification, because they actually are good signals to interviewers that you are serious about it, you have done your groundwork and all those things, right? So to all those who ask whether certification is useful, yes, it is useful. See, there is a reason we did graduation, right? We could have learned the same thing in 1 year and saved like lakhs and lakhs of rupees, but we didn't do that because it's a good signaling mechanism, even if it gives you a leg in the door, even if it does not clears your interview, right? So now coming to tips and hacks, again, like very quickly, I'll wrap it because I think we are already at 12. Take 10 more minutes to wrap this presentation and we can have a Q&A after that. So yeah, I think this is my favorite scene of all the, I think, cartoon movies I've seen. Like there is no secret ingredient. It hit me hard. And I think it has hit chord with a lot of people, right? When the Kung Fu Panda realizes that there is no secret ingredient, it's just you, like you have to work hard. You have to kind of do the training and then just believe in yourself, right? There will be failures and all, but there's no secret ingredient. So making the transition, right? Getting shortlisted is the most difficult part of this role. Okay. So, which is why the hacks are get into a PM role within the company, then getting into some other company. If the PM roles exist within your company, start doing the courses, start reading the books, start doing the preparation, find a mentor in the product group, and then tell them that you're planning to switch to product, and mostly they will carve out a path for you. 90 out of 100 times I've seen this happening. Like even in Upgrad, I saw a couple of success cases. In Flipkart, I have seen. In MX Player, I saw. Like all these places have these success stories. Like it's very easy to transition within company because you have the credibility. People don't question your work ethic. People don't want to interview you on communication skills and all, right? So much easier to do that. It's also easier to transition within industry. So there is a B2B versus B2C debate, right? I don't want to say that you cannot crack a B2C interview. What I will say is if you're working in B2B, business to business, it's much easier there because all the interview questions, when you answer, you'll have something to add on top of it. And the person who is interviewing you will feel like you're an insider rather than an outsider, right? So it's very important to kind of do that. Try to transition within industry, within e-commerce, within food tech, within this, then across. Certification helps, as I mentioned earlier. And the fourth thing is, this is a north kind of, this will serve as a compass for you, which is learning the skills required for PM will make you better at job. It doesn't matter what you are. If you're a coder, right? Because you're learning what a PM does, you'll be able to contribute in a meetings. If you're a business manager, you'll be able to tell product group what kind of features or what kind of things that users require. If you're a designer, you'll be able to pull out some data to kind of validate your hypothesis. So no matter what role you are in, if product manager is such a strong role that just preparing for it will make you better, not in your particular job aspect, but in other things like communication or presentation or kind of getting data, understanding data and all those things, asking the right questions, most of all, solving a problem in the right way, right? So when you are starting on this, just keep measuring yourself if you are feeling better in your current job or not. If you're not, it's time to kind of find a mentor, find a person, talk to them and kind of get some guidance, okay, because you're doing something wrong. Okay, industry trends, again, this is very important for strategy. Look out for industry trends. Gaming, e-commerce, education, tech, social, healthcare, content, these are going to work post COVID-19, and this is an industry trend, right? It's something that we speak about every day, but we never research it out. We never trying to validate it because we have built an opinion and we are going ahead with it. But keep yourself informed, and this will help you a lot in strategy questions. Okay. And another industry trend that I want to tell you to give you a carrot is pay for PMs is pretty good in industry. I think it's in the top percentile in the industry, and the reason is there's so much that is dependent on you, like all right decisions, right? Uh, and you are the person who can connect business with tech, with design, with other things. So, which is why the pay for PMs is pretty good. The job is pretty challenging. You'll never feel bored as a PM. In fact, you'll start questioning that, why am I doing this at some moments, right? Uh, so if that is your apprehension, don't worry. I think we have got you covered in this industry. And the last thing I want to tell is the patience, and it pays to be patient. In my journey, if you ask me, I joined consulting, very quickly realized I don't want to be a consultant because most of the times you're working on the peripheral problems. You're not working at the core problems that a company wants to solve. And after 2 years, I did the plan for MBA. I moved into housing.com and I joined the data team. I created the product analytics team because product was still a new thing in India. Product analytics, I think, was only a buzzword in Silicon Valley. The good thing, like I said, right, because I was reading about Facebook, how Facebook created its teams, how Facebook operates, how Google operates, it helped me find a problem area and create a team out of it, right? And I worked in product analytics for a couple of years, built the team, a 15-member team. Unfortunately, housing didn't work out, and I had to let a lot of my team members go. I got very burnt out, moved out of that role, and tried to do product management for some data science products in housing itself. So see, the transition happened within the company. So tried to build some data science products, tried to build some more initiatives, but then realized it's not going to work, moved out of housing and joined a small company in Bangalore. The company didn't have a lot of focus on products, so I moved out quickly. In 3-4 months, moved to upgrad.com, one of the best decisions of my life, because I found lifelong friends and mentors there. And I joined there as a first PM, right? So after, I think, 2.5-3 years of problem solving, I finally jumped into product management. And I feel that makes me a better product manager because consulting experience helps me build the right PPTs. Consulting experience helps me onboard CEOs and all the CXOs. The data experience helps me ask the right questions. Even sometimes lead the analytics effort in the team. And finally, because I also build the user research team in housing that helps me in understanding design and its complications. So you see, everything that you have done so far, right, with 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, is actually going to add up in this role, which is why I call it one of the best roles, because PMs are called like mini CEOs of the product. And to become a mini CEO, I think you have to have patience, at least 1 to 2 years, because there is a lot of roadblocks you're going to face. And to quote Randy Pausch, I think he was a professor in US, and lost his life to cancer. But before that, he gave a very good lecture, which got converted into the book, The Last Lecture. He said that the brick walls are there for a reason. The brick walls are not there to keep us out. They're there to keep those people out who don't want it enough. So the question you have to ask is, how badly do you want it? Are you willing to put some time into it to make it succeed? And the last one is get a mentor. Practice with peers, like find a friend who also want to get into PM role. And then try to get some mock interviews, try to hold yourself accountable. And final thing is subscribe to a structured course if possible, like Upgrad, Udacity and all I've already mentioned. Those courses are expensive. Coursera is a bit on the lower side of expensiveness, but Coursera courses are not very up to date. That is one disclaimer I want to put. So one of the things that I did myself after pondering on it a lot is create a structured course for growth and product. And that is, I call it Growth Catalyst, because it catalyzes the growth process for a product that you're building. And I have put the link for there. Very quickly, I think it's a 10-month course. And every month we'll hold like 2-hour sessions of different topics. And to make you familiar with the topic, because I know that in 2 hours you will not be able to consume a lot of information and retain it. There is a newsletter in which we are sending relevant articles. So for example, for me, the topic is product market fit. So if you're interested in the topic, you can subscribe to the newsletter. You will get articles on the product market fit throughout the month, every week. And then once you read those articles, you come and attend the sessions and get the right learning. So anyway, you can go and learn more about it. Now coming to the poll results, who is a PM? Let's do it. I'm excited to wait for these results. I put none of them because I didn't want people to kind of just take a stab, because there is a 50% probability. I wanted to reduce it to 33%. Go to your chat. There is a question. Put the polls. If you haven't seen Money Heist, go by what I described. Professor is a mastermind and has created the entire plan. And Berling is executing on the ground, doing everything, all the ops and everything. Let's see the results, Vikas.
Yes.
Wow. This is an intelligent group. See, I think this is a very trick question. Berlin is 29% of people have said that Berlin is a PM. Professor, 64% people have said, none of them, 7% have said. I don't want to give an answer, okay? See, you have your reasons to believe. My sense is, if you go by the problem solving, analytics, designing the right kind of thing, and strategy, right? Because strategy, I think Professor is a very senior PM, right? Someone who holds a leadership position in product organizations. Berlin, on the other hand, is also a PM, but he does not do all the elements of a product leadership position. So he might be a PM1, PM2, senior PM kind of guy. But yeah, I think very good. I'm happy that none of them came, only 7%. For those of you who posted none of them, I'm very, so anyway, let's go to questions. Vikas, I'm hoping that you'll help me with questions because there might be a lot of them.
Yeah, just let me with the first question.
Because before you do that, just guys, you can actually change your name. I can see a lot of DM occurred, so we can refer to you. If you go to the right hand side of your screen, you'll see 3 dots above your name, and you can actually type in your name.
Or just type your name below the question. That is also working.
Yeah, that's also fine. Just before Vikas like goes through the questions. Deepak, I would just like to kickstart the question round. So a lot of people might, as you said, like getting shortlist is the most difficult part, and a lot of people might struggle, especially freshers or people who don't have a PM background already or tech background already to get shortlist. So are there any ancillary roles, like, if somebody wants to chart out a 2 to 3 year path to become a PM, are there any roles in marketing, in product, in analytics, etc., that one could take up in the interim and work towards a PM role?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I think one of the things before I start this, I would suggest is, Devanshu, you are going to send this PPT along with some more resources, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to tell the group that you guys are actually working towards building like all these career issues that people face, right?
Yeah.
So it would be great if I think whatever surveys you guys are sending, right, folks, if you can fill those surveys, I think Divyanshu and Vikas can help you getting to those answers, right? They can also actually connect you to the right mentors, right? So just be on the lookout, because they're building a very good mentorship community, and being a part of this community will be very vital for your career progress. Like I said, mentorship and feedback are the most important thing. If they are absent, you might take 5 years rather than 1 year to kind of reach where you have the potential to reach, right? So I just wanted to start with that, and then take your question, Divyanshu. I think, see, the ancillary roles, right, are anybody who works with a product manager, right? So product analyst works with a product manager, business analyst works with so all the data roles, business analyst, product analyst, and a product analyst is better than a business analyst. Even somebody like a data scientist is a very good role to kind of get into. And then if you're a techie, you are working with PM. So what you have to analyze is what degree of freedom, like what is the separation from a PM to your role, current role, right? For example, business folks, they don't work with a PM on a day-to-day basis. So they might have to work a little bit more. But somebody like a designer, they already work with a PM, right? That is one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is from a skills point of view. For example, consultants, right? So consultants already work on data. They already have the problem solving attitude, and they are already good in communication and strategy. So that checks 4 boxes of the beginner PMs, right? So consulting is a very good field to be in, or whatever field you are in, like just see what are the skills that I've listed in this PPT is applicable to you, and you will know how close you are to the PM role. Did that answer the question, Divyanshu?
Yeah, that's very helpful. And in the end, guys, when we share the PPT, we'll try to cover some roles that work closely with product team, and and then you can maybe map out which roles are most suitable for you and easier for you to get into.
Yeah, actually, see, if you can't get directly into a PM role, get into one of the, like Divyanshu said, one of the ancillary roles, like something that works very close to PM, because you'll get so familiar with the product manager work that you'll be able to answer a lot of questions in that context. I'll give you an example, right? So I was interviewing for Google, I think last year. And before that, I've just worked in startups. So all of my question and answers were coming from a frugality point of view, speed point of view. But what Google wanted was a reliability point of view, scale point of view, and all that, right? And that actually kind of blocked me in those interviews, because we were not on the same page. And that will happen with you also, which is why, like, get some exposure by getting into these roles. Yeah.
So let me just start with the first question, Deepak. The first question is from Omkar. If there's no product team as such, for example, in a service-based company, is transitioning to another firm the only viable option, or is there any other possibility you have seen that?
So I have seen people moving from services industry to product roles. And one of the ways they do it is actually, so one of my actually mentees in Upgrad, he came from services industry. What he did was, he did this course and then he messaged me, and fortunately he was working on data, right? So he moved into data role, and then over time he moved into a product role. So the idea is you can still move into a product company even if you're in services company by kind of getting into the similar role into the product company and then move into product role. That is one way. But also people, if you prepare well enough, right? And if you have good communication and everything, if you check all the boxes, people don't care much about your background. So you can definitely get into the interviews. Shortlisting will be a bit difficult, I must say, but you can get into interviews and crack those. That is not an issue.
Next question is, what resources do you use to stay updated on trends?
Okay, I should add probably a slide to this, but for now, I think the resources that I personally use are the Ken for Indian startup ecosystem, LinkedIn and Twitter I use heavily. Twitter there are people who you can follow from Silicon Valley or like other product leaders like Kunal Shah and all these folks, and they keep sharing some articles. So Twitter, LinkedIn, the Ken, and there is a Stratechery kind of subscription. That's a paid. Ken and Stratechery both are paid subscriptions and are for slightly like advanced stage of PMs, because Stratechery is more around strategy in a product group like Microsoft strategy, Google strategy, Amazon strategy, and all those things, right? Apart from this, you can follow, see Your Story, I don't recommend often, but if you are starting to just read about startups and all, like you can start with Your Story. The most helpful ones are some of the blogs that I follow. I can put those blogs into one of the slides and share, but there are good product management blogs that are written in that.
Next question, Deepak, is from Sahil. Is it a good choice to take a tech software developer internship over intern for business analyst if you're considering for 6 to 12 months? Considering that he wants to move to the PM role in the future.
See, I would, if you're not, that's a difficult question. Couple of reasons. See, first of all, like see what interests you more. I know it's very hard to answer as a fresher, but as a business analyst, you will still be away from the PM role. So if you are fine with doing tech, do that, because tech helps you in building the credibility with PMs, as well as tech resumes are more shortlisted. Like the shortlist rate, if I define a shortlist rate, that is higher for tech resumes than other resumes. So go for a tech internship but only if you are interested in that, because sometimes if you mess that up, it will not help. So.
Deepak, I have a question. Somebody asked it in the chat. So there are, as you said, a lot of courses. Upgrad has a course, Coursera has a course, and some of these courses also help with placement process. Can you, it's usually very difficult for people to understand and decide which course they should go for. So you recommended a framework for that. But do you have any sense of which kind of people or what stage of career should people who take these courses be in to actually get the most out of it? Should it be people who have internal mobility options? Should it be people with a lot of maybe 6-7 years of experience in something ancillary and then just adding this to get away in? Is there a framework you can recommend to people to decide if taking a course is the right option for them?
See, if you are a learner, right, who doesn't learn, who has relied, and in India we rely a lot on coaching centers and all, right, because it works most of the time. So if you learn through teaching, right, it will actually help you. The courses will help you in at least filtering out, because it's a very vast area. You don't know what to learn in design, what to learn in this. So I've recommended those books, but if you have gone through them, it's very useful to do a course, because one, it will constrain you within a time horizon. This is something that you have to learn. The second is it helps in signaling to kind of all these recruiters. So if you're not strapped for cash, right, go for one of these courses, complete it, and then what I'll leave to you is, don't take a course unless you have gone through the basic material that I've shared, because you'll not be able to make the right decision around the course. Once you know a little bit about it, right, you can go through the course. Another easy hack is to actually find a good PM and tell them your story, your context, and then get a course recommended through them, right? So that's a shortcut. the long cut is actually do the research yourself and then move to one of the courses. But courses do help. I think with the right mentorship and feedback, they will help.
Yeah, so the next question is from Nishan. Is PM in gaming industry different from other industries?
Wow, that's my favorite question. So that's let me tell you a personal story, right? Why I chose gaming. So in MX Player, I was working on OTT, like which is like video industry, and I realized two things. One is the OTT industry is very hard to monetize, especially in India. Like Netflix has done a very good job, but others are relying on advertisements and all. And gaming industry is very nascent. So to choose between a mature industry and a nascent industry in a particular country, choose always the nascent one, because then you can become one of the thought leaders in that industry. But there is one more important distinction between a gaming PM and OTT PM, which is gaming's or a normal PM. Gaming is a pure consumer product. See, gaming is not a utility app, right? You're not going to kind of order a food or order a ride. It's also not something that you pay for, or not something that government has mandated. In fact, in India, we actually frown upon people who play games, right? Like we have all been there as kids where our parents were like, don't play games. And which is what makes it a very exciting product, because the delight and everything that you build into gaming is actually very handy in building other products. So there is something that is getting very popular right now, which is gamification, which is applying gaming into e-commerce, applying gaming into OTT, applying gaming into a lot of other industry, food industry, for that example. And the reason it's working is because people don't like dry experiences. They like delight, they like fun, right? And if you make fun, like Google Pay did for those sticker collections, right? It might lead to a lot of organic acquisition and a lot of traffic on your platform, and people will love you. I think that's what you want to do as a PM also, right? So I think that is primary reason why I came to this industry, because it's a $140 billion industry, so it's one of the largest. And the second is you build delightful, pure consumer tech products. So yeah.
So guys, I'm seeing that there are a lot of very specific questions coming. So for now, I will stick to more the questions which are beneficial for everyone, and we can take those specific questions offline. So one of the question is, how does a non-MBA applicant compare to an MBA holder when considering for a PM role?
Got it. So see, a MBA holder has advantage. One, because it's a good degree, right? Two, I think primarily it's a good degree for PM because in MBA you learn problem solving. So you do case studies and guesstimates. So you learn problem solving, you learn data because guesstimates, and then you learn strategy. So you have checked 3 of 5 boxes, right? So that's why MBAs are useful. But a non-MBA, if they learn this thing just like I did, or I'm sure Vikas also did, if we learn this on the sidelines, I think it's also good. And it's good because you are not wasting 2 years of, not wasting, I would say, you're learning a lot, but you're not putting 2 years of your life and a lot of money to learn something that you can learn offline. So if MBA is an expensive option for you, right, don't go for it. Try to check these boxes out and you will be as good as an MBA student. Try to get some certifications around it, which are very less expensive and you can do while doing your job. So there is no opportunity cost and you'll be as good as an MBA, right? So solve for signaling, solve for skills, and you are sorted.
Guys, before we jump into the next question, so as Deepak mentioned, we would love your input on this talk, as well as if you have any specific questions, if you need one-on-one consultation with any mentors or Deepak himself, like it'll be helpful if you can fill the survey. I've just pasted the link in the chat, so save it. We'll also send it by email, but save it if you can right now.
Vikas, what we'll do is so what we'll do, Vikas, is take all the like individual questions you mentioned and write it down in the mails and kind of share with the group, right? I think that should be the scalable way of doing that.
Yeah, I think that would be the best way.
Yeah.
So
Any other major question? I think we have 3 to 5 minutes more.
there
We
are
can
a
take
lot
one or
of
two
questions.
questions.
Can you suggest
So,
some good APM programs for an undergraduate to start with in India?
Good APM programs. So see, Flipkart, I think, is one of the best APM programs in the country. But it is difficult to get in. So, and it also goes into select campuses. What you can do is you can start as an APM at one of the startups. Now, this year is going to be difficult for startups. So don't judge yourself by this year because the job industry is going to be difficult and all. Prepare yourselves, and whenever an entry opens, just get into one of the startups. And what you can do is startups are very flexible in the way that even if you get into some other role, you can very quickly in 6 months move into a APM role. So try to get to that track.
Got it. Deepak, there's a question. Can you elaborate on the career progression of a PM?
Good question. So, see, different companies have different PM to two groups, right? So one is you become a IC, which is individual contributor. So that is more of an architect track for tech, which is like you will not get into management of a lot of PMs. You will just learn, and try to ship very critical projects for organization, right? And that is a role that is available in something like Google or Microsoft, right? But in most of the places, 90-95% of the places, the path is pretty kind of straightforward. You start as a APM, you move to PM. On PM ladder, there could be different roles. There could be PM1, PM2, PM3, or in some companies just PM. In Flipkart, it's PM1, PM2, and then there is a senior PM. Then there is group PM. So group PM is very similar to associate director role, right? So some places have associate director, some places have group PM role after senior PM. Then you move to director, then you move to senior director, then VP, and then senior VP or chief product officer, right? Now, depending on the stage that a company is, some of the levels might be removed. So what you will mostly see in startups is a PM, not even a APM, a PM, a senior PM, a director, and a VP, right? In bigger companies, you'll see APM, PM1, PM2, PM3, SPM, group PM, or lead PM. Lead PM is another, like group PM has different names, lead PM, group PM, associate director of product, and then director, then senior director, then VP. So the ladder is this much only, I think, in most of the places.
Deepak, I think this could be the last question. So a lot of people, as you said, getting shortlisted is very difficult. Do you have some advice on job search process? How should people decide industries, companies to apply for? And what are some of the ways to be recognized by recruiters when you're emailing them, sending cover letters, or applying generally on a job board?
See, like in my experience, the unfortunate reality of Indian job market is the resumes submitted through company website or LinkedIn don't actually get evaluated that well. Okay, so your chances increase 10x if you can find somebody in the company and ask them to refer you, right? That is something that is jugaad that you have to do if you want to get into this role very quickly or want to get shortlisted. The other way is actually to research on what kind of keywords a company uses in shortlisting, right? And try to highlight those. So make the resume according to the company. If it's an e-commerce company, try to keep business and commerce and all those things that you have done on the forefront. So that helps in that. And the third is actually work with like all these headhunters, right? In the market, they usually work with these companies to kind of push out candidates. So just try to find one of the headhunters and work with them. But there's no golden rule. I think the only good hack that I know of is find somebody in a company and try to get a referral. I think that is the best route to get into any company, for that matter, like even in Google or Facebook or Amazon.
Got it. Because are there any other questions?
There is one question. Is it important for a
What there's a question on if can a side project help to practice and showcase your credibility? And if it can, like, are there any good resources for side projects that people can pick up for PM?
Side project definitely can help you. The reason I'm saying is because they show a lot of initiative. They show a lot of, the problem with side projects is a lot of people start them but don't finish them. So if you can finish these side projects, they will definitely help. The things to, I think it's very easy if you ask me, right? If you know somebody who is an Android developer, and if you know that there is something that you want to build, so something like, let's say you're facing some problem, like I was facing some problem sometime back in taking medicines in a routine fashion. Can I create a reminder app for that with a Android developer, right? So if I find a designer and a developer, I think I'm pretty much sorted. And in your college group, right, somebody must be there who might be able to kind of help you with that. So pick out the side projects. Uh, the problem is, unlike like dev and design, not a lot of freelancing projects are around PM roles, right? So you will not be able to find these on freelancing groups, but you have to if you have to do it yourself and put it in your resume. They definitely have, like they will be something that every interviewer will want to talk about in your interview. So they actually not only help in shortlisting, but also in interviews.
Deepa, there are 2-3 questions around how to,
Sorry?
there are 2-3 questions around how to showcase your knowledge in the resume to get shortlisted. So 2 people highlighted that they have a BA experience and also 5 year consulting.
Because I'm not able to hear you clearly. Can you?
Because they're not audible.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are multiple people who are asking the same thing, which is how to showcase your experience and knowledge in the resume to get it shortlisted. So they have mentioned that they have BA experience and 5 year consulting experience, but were not able to get a shortlist. Like how to communicate it better in the resume.
See, if possible, right, try to categorize your projects on relevant skills, right? So think of it like somebody sees your resume for 15-20 seconds, right? What are they going to take out of that resume? If you can mention project name, because I'm reading resume, they don't have context of what you have done. But if I see things which are familiar to you, or as a recruiter, which is problem solving, or some initiative, right? I took this initiative. So try to find those generic skill sets and map them to your projects. And those will be very helpful. Like one of the things that I did, I was once trying to interview for a VC firm. And one of the things I did was VCs look for these 5 things, right? So let me kind of project my map my projects to those 5 things, and that should help. Like market research. Now that is something that I hadn't done yet, but I knew that this particular product required a lot of market research. So I just mapped that product to market research and all, right? So try to put those keywords into your resume. Don't overdo it, but because the keywords for PM role are limited, like 5 to 10, you should be able to kind of do a fantastic job while you're doing it.
Okay, so I think we should end the Q&A session, Deepak, here. And to all those people whose questions are unanswered, we suggest you that we can let's connect offline and also fill the survey form so that we are able to reach out to you in a better way.
And we'll be sending the survey link, the PPT and some other resources via email. So look out for an email from Vikas or me. And you know, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to either of us, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you so much, Deepak, for taking out time. I hope everybody enjoyed the session, and we're really grateful to you to sort of take out an hour and a half on a weekend to help people out.
Thank you guys for the initiative. I think as people are saying in chat, it's a great initiative. I'm hoping it flies out and helps all the career seekers, because there are a lot of people in the market, right? And this will be one of the, I think, key groups to remember, because this is, you always remember the beginning, right? So best of luck guys who joined the session. Thanks, Vikas. Thanks, Devanshu.
Deepak.
Love the superhero references. And then hopefully we'll have more sessions.
I love the panda one.
Yeah.
That was quite nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Have a nice Sunday.
Bye. Have a nice Sunday. Stay safe.